Hey everyone, got a great show for you today. I have a personal friend, somebody I look up to, somebody I've done business with in Fresno. We're welcoming back to the show Chris Williams. How you doing this morning, Chris?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing very, very well. Why don't we have another video which I'll link in the description below, but most people won't go back and watch it. So just tell your story, in a couple of minutes. When you got started, what was that moment? And then we'll really get on to new material.
Sure. Yeah. So got started in basically, I think it was the beginning of 2010. Met up with someone. We started a business together. After a couple of months, went full time, quit my job, and so we started wholesaling and then fix and flipping a couple of years as well. So we did that together for 2 years. So until the end of 2011, just felt it was time to go on my own. Went on my own, and 2012 it just completely collapsed on me. Just failed at everything I did. Quickly ran out of money. Started living off my credit cards. Those got maxed out, and started taking odd and end jobs. Doing handyman work, cleaning pools, doing whatever I could to just try to pay some of my bills. My gas and insurance and phone. Had my phone shut off several times. Almost had my car impounded, and during that year. And really gave up. I think I gave up on my dreams of being a real estate entrepreneur. And I had a friend, a mentor of mine from my church, who asked me if I was looking for a job, and said that the sister company that he worked with, he was a real estate broker. Their sister company, which was basically redeveloper in town, was looking for someone to come in to do admin work, office work. And so I said, hey, I'll send you my resume. So I sent him my resume. Ended up having 2 interviews there. Got a job there working in the office. In a couple months, worked my way up to a project manager. And so they did a lot of fix and flips, and then also bought multi-units and rentals and full-blown apartment complexes. And I was, out there running budgets, running contractors, taking on, 10, 12, 15 projects at a time here in Fresno and some other cities around here. So long story short, summer 2013, ended up getting engaged, was faced with a lot of incoming bills from the wedding, and then also just car problems, and realized that either I can complain about it or I can do something about it. So decided to pick back up my dream of being a real estate entrepreneur, and started sending a little bit of letters, like 50 letters, making calls, calling expireds. And in the first month, ended up locking up 5 deals. Summer 2013, closed a few more deals that year, and decided in 2014 I wanted to go full-time as a full-time wholesaler, and ended up going strong. And in March of 2014, yeah, March of 2014, giving my 2 weeks and going full-time. My first time all on my own, and did 33 deals that year in 2014, and been going ever since. I've definitely expanded into flipping and hotels, and then also have my eyes finally on buying rentals, which I wish I would have had years ago, years ago, definitely. But finally, preparing ourselves for that as well.
Yeah, I remember I actually went back and watched your interview. It's one of the ones that has the most views of all my interviews. And the thing that I took away from it was when you were in this struggle. So I think you were still working. You'd gotten that job, right, as the project manager.
Yeah.
And you tell this story about an energy drink. And then you kept looking for it. And it was, you asked yourself when you finally found it is, if I'm willing to work this hard for an energy drink, why won't I work this hard for my dreams? And I'm like, duh, that's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
You want to summarize that a little bit? Do you remember that?
Sure. You want me to retell it?
Yeah, let's retell the story, and then we'll go on to new stuff. That was a good one.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember I was driving around. I don't know if I was on my lunch break or I was working or something, but I was thinking about just how much I thought that the wedding was going to be, how much my fiance needed from me. My car at the time was in and out of the shop literally every month, and every time I put it in, I mean, it was an Audi A6. 4.2 liter engine. So it was like anytime anything happened, it'd be $1,000, 1,500 that I really didn't have, but I had to spend it anyways so that I could have a car. And I remember driving and I was just so mad, like, man, this is so frustrating. I have all these bills. This car is a piece of crap. But I can't sell it until I pass smog. But it's like every time I took it to the shop to get it fixed, then like something else was revealed and then I needed to take it back. And so I spent like $6 or $7 just to be able to get it to pass smog, just so I could get rid of it, not even make any money, just get rid of it. And I was driving and grumbling, and I was really realized that at the time I felt like a failure. I felt like the entrepreneurial desire, that desire for real estate was God-given. For me, I'm a Christian, I'm a firm believer, and it just felt like that desire was part of my mission here on life. And I was really grumbling, complaining to God, like, Lord, I feel like you put this vision and this passion in my heart, but it's like every turn I take, I feel like I see the opposite. I feel like you put success in my heart, but I feel like everything I put my hand to just becomes a failure. And then while I was grumbling, I just really wanted this energy drink, very specific Rockstar, that now is out of commission. And I went to a place that normally they don't have it. I went to like a 7-Eleven. They didn't have it. And went to like a CVS or something like that. They didn't have it. And every time I stopped somewhere, they didn't have that one specific energy drink. I was just getting so mad, so frustrated. And I finally stopped at like a Safe Mart, some supermarket. Went in there. They had it, bought it, went out to my car. And I remember sitting down and just cracking it open and taking that first sip. And it was just like this huge sigh of relief. Like, yes, I finally have what I want, and I finally, worked hard and got what I want. And it was just like at that moment, I kind of saw a picture of like everything I was complaining about and everything I was doing. And I was like, man, so I just like, I hit all these roadblocks in my life goals and I just gave up. But here I just stopped at nothing to buy, a $3 energy drink that's probably going to kill me. And it was just like this crazy aha moment and like this, man, that's so stupid. And just realizing like, okay, you know what? I don't think I've even worked this hard towards my goals. I think I did a little bit to kind of like tell myself, yeah, I'm working, I'm taking action, but then not really doing anything after that, sending 10 letters at a time, making one call, something like that. And then being mad when it doesn't pan out, but realizing like, okay, if I just stopped at nothing at this drink that's probably going to kill me, then why can't I do that for, what I feel like is my calling? Why can't I stop at nothing to go fulfill my dreams and goals? And so I said, okay, God, I do believe that this real estate desire is what you put in my heart. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it the next 30 days. I'm going to go all out. And there's really no option other than this. And so I just set a goal. In the next 30 days, I have to line up $10,000 worth of deals. I'm going to hang my hat up and just as that it's not for me, and I'm going to go do something else. And so for the next 30 days, in that time I worked 8 to 5. So I would get up at 5, go to the gym. I'd be in the office by 7:30, plan out my day, figure out who I need to call, what offers I need to make, clock in at 8. Whenever I'd be in my car, going to properties or on my lunch break, I'd be on the phone, making calls, setting appointments. Clock out at 5, I'd stay in the office until 8 or 9. And so I would either go out on appointments, put up bandit signs, call people, stuff letters, whatever I needed to do. And within those 30 days, I lined up 5 deals and made $15,000. And they were all tiny deals, averaging like $3,000. But it really proved within myself that I had everything that it takes, to get it done. And, realizing that over the years, I convinced myself that, because I wasn't, some skilled, experienced negotiator, that I couldn't do it. That I wasn't some extremely outgoing person, that was very introverted, that, I wouldn't be good at sales. I had convinced myself those things. But that 30 days of going all out, really part-time, proved to myself that, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. It is where I'm supposed to be. All those desires and the passions in my heart were all correct. And so that's when, I put a plan together, started working, and And, as I had a full-time job, was doing 2-3 deals a month, wholesaling, and then finally came to a spot where it's like, okay, I need to go full-time now.
That's awesome. I love that story. Again, I listened to it. I listened to a lot of it yesterday, and I actually played that little clip again this morning. More and more people need to realize that if you're willing to go after your dreams as hard as you were going after that Rockstar energy drink, you'll figure it out, right? And it's frankly not supposed to be easy, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So I love that story. I'm glad you repeated it. But let's set up where we left the last meeting. 2014, you did 33 deals. 15 was bigger than 14. 16 was bigger than 15, right? So you were rocking and rolling, right?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that as I went along, my volume decreased, but my profit per deal increased drastically. That first year was like, $3,000-$4,000 deals. And so through that journey of actually even working less, figuring out how to turn those into $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $50,000 wholesale deals.
Yeah. Very, very cool. So we wrapped up last time, and basically by anybody's measure, you were quote unquote successful. You made it. You were one of the big shots in Fresno. But I remember you closing that session going, you know what? I'm a part of a mastermind. I've gone there. They gave me some tools and tricks to even go further. I think you even talked about doing other markets. So what happened? So this last, I think we talked in October or November, and then you're like, I'm doing these other big
I think I talked.
So what happened?
Yeah. So where I was then, had massive goals, was scaling, was doing everything that the coaches and everybody talked about, which was just basically throwing as much money back into the pot as possible. So we had multiple full-time employees. And of course, with that comes all the added expenses and health insurance and all that kind of stuff. So we went from sending just a couple thousand mailers a month, really only having an overhead of a few $1,000s a month, to all of a sudden having like $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 overhead a month late last year. Yeah. And we were growing. Our volume was growing. My goal was to get to 10 deals a month as fast as possible by the end of last year. And, I feel like with my eyes set on simply quantity, I was losing sight of quality. Whereas before, realistically, being lower volume when I was, before we really scaled, we do 2 deals a month, but they were $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 deals. Only maybe spending $1,500, $2,000 a month in marketing. So then, kind of broadening my scope and saying, okay, in order for me to do the volume I want to do, now I need to be sending 20,000 mailers a month, 30,000 mailers a month. I need a full-time lead manager. I need full-time this person. I can't go on every appointment. So now I need other people to go on appointments. And a very interesting thing happened. Like I said, our volume ticked up, but our deal quality dropped dramatically.
Interesting.
And kind of the talks of what a lot of the kind of higher volume people say is they say just lock it up. If you're trying to buy it at $100,000 and the seller's stuck at 120 or 115 or 110, just lock it up. And so we started doing that, and really against my own beliefs, just like, okay, I'll just see how this works. And so started doing that just to see how we could do. And it was really hard. We spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and then for a lot of deals to not pan out, or, being used to the $15,000, $20,000 wholesales, and now all of a sudden only making $1,000, $1,500 per deal. And that's not even a make. That's still a loss when we had to spend, $3,000 or $4,000 to get there, and then to only have like 100 come in. That's a huge loss, per deal. But we were breaking even for several months, even when we were spending more. And then this crazy thing happened was we had a lot of deals in escrow. At one point probably had over $300,000 in revenue in escrow at one point. And it was like one deal after the next just started dropping off, getting canceled, buyers walking last minute and, making me lose the deal, judgments and liens popping up. last minute, we were supposed to close, and it's like, oh, escrow just found something on this, and not really being able to overcome it. And so there was a span of like 30 days where like I saw like over 200 grand just vanish. Oof. And even though we did all the work, we spent all the money, that revenue should have come in. And so right at the end of the year, into the slow season of winter, everything just came at a screeching halt because our revenue stopped, but our monthly expenses were still really high.
Yeah.
Full-time employees. Which really killed our momentum too, because I had to take all the money we would normally use for marketing had to then go into paying overhead. So going into the beginning of this year, basically just stopped everything. Like, okay, no more letters. We kind of slowly got rid of our staff and went down to a shoestring budget. I mean, even this year, I don't know what we spent total in marketing. Definitely less than a couple grand. And I mean, we've done a good amount of deals this year, but they've just been from following up cold calls online, stuff that really doesn't cost anything other than time for us. Right. So towards the beginning of the year, maybe February, March, I took a hard look at what we were doing last year, took a hard look at what the popular business model is for our type of business, and which is just, if you want to grow, you scale, you throw everything, at the window or the wall or whatever and see what sticks. And, everybody hires a lead manager, everybody hires acquisitions, everybody hires a disposition. And we're looking at it going like, I don't like that. Like we had so many moving parts. I don't know if it's just my personality, maybe my availability and time, but like just realizing like, then I really didn't like that.
Yeah.
And so realizing like, how can I grow like that, but keep as small as possible while having really as high of revenue as possible. So kind of had the idea of, instead of having full-time W-2 employees, I would just have commission-based real estate agents come in, and they can take our leads and, go on the appointments, make our offer, and they would still get paid, but I could roll their commission into the deal.
Yep.
Rather than the seller paying it, of course. And so they could get paid, I could get paid, I could buy houses or wholesale houses and grow my business that way. And so that's what we've done this year. We're building that out. I'd say a good number of deals that we've done this year have been through agents, being able to take our leads, go on the appointments or cold call them and negotiate on our behalf. And then, whether we bought them for a fix and flip or wholesale, or we've wholesaled it, I've been able to roll their commission into my revenue in that, which has been awesome, because I've been able to get multiple deals with basically zero out of pocket, and whoever we're doing the deal with is able to get a really good revenue out of that as well.
That's awesome. I want to make sure we dig into that, and we're going to make that its own section. I just want to go back to another thing, because like you, I don't know what it is. I guess it's male ego, maybe. Right? Want to be bigger. You want to do more. You just want to do all those things, right? I remember going to a mastermind myself, and kind of apprehensively going, like, I don't really know what I want to go, because unlike you, I don't see myself as an entrepreneur, right, or a business owner per se. But I went there, and I did have an aha moment going, I don't want employees. That was my big thing, right? Because everybody else stands up and they talk about where their troubles are and all these other things. And where I landed was, I don't want employees, right? So anytime I think about getting bigger or anything, if it requires employees, my answer is no. Right? You just take that idea out of the bag, right? I'm about simplicity and being happy. Right? Being happy is important. So I wanted to bring this back up, because so many people that get some success in this business see the social media posts and see these other things. They get the acquisition manager, then they get the disposition manager, then they're having 5 virtual assistants in the Philippines. And I guess I just want to say, yeah, that can work, but ask yourself if you're going to be happy, right? Do you want the overhead?
Yeah.
You want to have that? Do you want to have to take a deal just to keep the machine running? And I think that's where you found yourself after a few months.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about, so you're, again, you are an entrepreneur, right? You successful
Yes.
multi-years, you look to get bigger, you try it, you give it full effort, you go, whoa, stop, that hurts, 50K a month. You have to make sacrifices, fire people, lower marketing, which is not what you want to do. Then you and your wife, I'm sure, get together and go, what, honey, how can we get back to cranking? I think this, I'll call it a commission model. I'm not sure what else to call it. Is a genius idea, because now you can reward anybody who's willing to hustle in the area.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. How did you find that? How did you create that? I've never heard of it. I think that's awesome.
I had that idea years ago. Never really did anything with it. I had ran across maybe a couple interviews, podcasts. I know there's a guy, Peter Vexelman out of Georgia. He does that. And I had heard a podcast from him maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago. And I think he does like 40 or 50 deals a month, strictly with agents. I think he runs a Keller Williams office out of Atlanta. And all his agents are like a flat fee. So like whenever they negotiate a deal for him, they just get like $1,000. And supposedly the agents who work for him love it because they don't have to pay the overhead. They don't pay the marketing. They don't pay for the systems. He just provides everything for them. And they go out on appointments with their number, with his cash number. Mm-hmm. And then, then they follow up on the offer. And when the offer doesn't work, then they're able to convert those over to listings.
Exactly.
Which is huge. And that's really the model that I want to go after, or that we're building out here is, for realistically, maybe for an agent who wants to make 100 to 200 grand a year, but they don't want to be spending $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month in marketing, or they don't want to have to spend $1,000, $2,000 a month in office and for the CRM and the systems and for the Mojo dialer and all that kind of stuff like we do. I could just say, hey, I already have all that. I have the systems, we have the leads, we have the cold call lists. We have well over 1,000 warm leads in our database that we've spoken to that can be followed up on, maybe 15, 20,000 people on cold call lists who can be cold called. You have someone here who's probably done maybe somewhere around 400, 500 deals. I can analyze something in 5 minutes and tell you where we need to be at. I can train people on sales. I can train people on building rapport, building relationship, teaching you how to follow up. And so maybe it's someone who doesn't want to run a full-scale business, but they want that entrepreneurial income. Then I can say, come get plugged in here. We'll give you everything. You'll go present our cash offer. And when it doesn't work, you can convert it over to a listing. And I think that listing aspect is so valuable because your foot is already in the door. You've already, with those homeowners. And for any agent can attest to this. The hardest thing to do when business is getting your foot in the door of that home. And so just saying, like, we'll do that for you. And we've already got it. We already have those leads. We've already narrowed it down to the people who we feel like are most likely to sell now, and people who need to be followed up with as well. So that's what we're running with right now. We've got one agent under us right now. Of course, there's a couple other people we've worked with, and my goal is to bring on at least 2 people over the next 2 months. Just get them in here, plug them in, and help them achieve their goals.
Yeah. So let me break it down for folks that maybe haven't put together what you're offering, because again, most people, because you're on the buy side, a lot of these, or at least in the beginning.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, the seller pays the commission. No, that's not what Chris is talking about. Chris is basically saying, for example, he's willing to offer 150K on a house. That's what he's willing to offer. So let's play this out. Let's say, example, you're willing to pay 150. You're willing to pay the agent $3,000. I'm just using rough numbers. What number would be presented to the client? Would it be the 150 or would it be 147? I guess that's the part I'm missing.
Sure, got it. Honestly, there's really a huge, basically, science behind our offers, but it really depend on the circumstance. If somebody really needed 150 grand in their pocket and it worked for us to still give them 150 to pay all the closing costs and then pay our agent, then we just have them present the 150 offer. So how we do it is that we offer the seller the net price.
Got it. That's what I wanted. Net price.
Yeah. So the agent presents it like, my client is going to pay you 150 grand. You're not going to have to pay a commission. They'll cover that. You won't have to pay closing costs. They'll cover it. And they're going to close in 10 days. And
got it.
Whatever problem that they're facing, that's the problem.
Right. So you give the agent representing you, we're willing to pay $150 for that property, that asset. And then on the back end, you've already worked out the transaction costs and closing costs and commission, right? So you might pay $155.7 for this thing.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and I think like I told you, we've been taking on more fix and flips and hotels this year. So, basically how, in a nutshell, how I do it is I roll all of that into my acquisition cost, so that when I take the deal to my lender, I don't take it to them for $150. I take it to them for $160 or $165 or whatever that's going to be, so that everything is covered in the front end. Mm-hmm. And when the house closes escrow, that agent gets their commission.
Yep. That's awesome. And again, the agents, if you're hungry in Fresno and you want a known buyer and somebody that's doing it, how could they reach out to you, Chris, or find out more? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I would say shoot me an email. Email is probably the best way at chris@ibuyhousesfresno.com. That will go directly to my phone, and then we can connect on a time to jump on the phone.
Yeah, the other thing I think people should look at. So first off, if you're a licensed agent, you don't have enough listings or the market's getting soft and you want to add another revenue stream, you need to look up Chris and reach out to him at chris@ibuyhousesfresno.com. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's it.
Look at that.
Yep.
So easy to remember. You're a genius. So the other thing is if you're new to the business, you want to stick your toe in, you want to be yourself maybe in 2013, Chris. You don't want have the assets for the infrastructure, but you want to go learn under someone. I think being a part of this, part of your organization would be a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I've been kind of talking to some people and talking to people regarding that as well, because you really think about, depending on income goal, mm-hmm. somebody being in a sales position versus a business owner position, it probably benefits them to be more in that sales. Because you think about, for me as a business owner, if I want to take home $150,000 a year, what do I need to bring in on the business side? Probably $800,000, $900,000, almost $1 million. What kind of effort and marketing and overhead do I have to spend to bring in $1 million in revenue? Probably $200,000 or $300,000. So for someone who has that goal of just, maybe bringing home $150,000, $200,000 a year, running a full-fledged business might not be their best option. For someone to bring home that kind of income, but not have the overhead associated with it, not have the marketing costs, not have to figure out the marketing or the systems or the CRM or anything like that, I think it's phenomenal. I mean, I love it. I mean, honestly, I love the business model, and I love the opportunity that I can give people to say, hey, let me help you reach your goals. You just got to come in and work under me. Obviously not as an employee, but as an agent, and we can both achieve our goals together.
Yeah, and again, I want to go back to something I said earlier. I think what a lot of people get lost in this is in that big number, right? 150, 200, 1 million, whatever. I would challenge each of you listening to this to think about what makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
Go to 150 grand, working with someone who's knowledgeable, respects you, trusts you, allow you to be happy. And then, do you have to own your own business? The answer is no, you don't have to own your own business. Being a sales professional or an agent is a great way to go, I would think.
Yeah, actually, I've heard this a couple of times. I haven't seen the statistics, but I've heard it that right now the fastest growing segment of millionaires are actually W-2 employees. They're people who are in sales positions who are now working for multi-million-dollar companies. Yeah. And of course, they're also taking their extra income and they're putting it towards rental properties and other investment assets.
Very, very cool. So I am curious, where are you taking this thing? Sort of like where we ended last time. So you've got this new business model. You're going to be ramping. Do you have goals for number of agents you kind of want in your network before the end of the year? Are we talking 6, 10? What are we thinking?
Sure. Yeah. Here in the office, I would say 4.
Okay.
So one short term is 2 more that if we can bring in, train. And then towards the end of the year, bring in 1 other person. So
let's see if we can help you with that. What kind of does the agent need to be a full-time agent, or could there be an agent that has a W-2 job and they got a license just cause, or what are you thinking?
I think they could be part-time. I would really take that by case-by-case
Okay.
basis. It really depends on personality. It depends on availability. If someone really doesn't have much availability, but they want, want to get into it, it would be really hard for me because, I mean, as you know, my availability is very limited as well.
Yes.
Being a father of 4 under 3 years old, I'm also a licensed pastor. So in the evenings and the weekends, I'm very tied up. So my availability is very limited. So if someone only has evenings, it would be really hard for me to get away to sit down with them and train them.
Yeah.
Just because I really wouldn't be available. Full-time is best. I mean, honestly, full-time in Hungary.
Yep.
Newer is probably best because they might not be indoctrinated with years and years of realtor talk and realtor training, because really what we do is it really is out of the box. And a lot of times it takes a lot of out of the box thinking to be able to get things done. And it's, nothing illegal, nothing unethical or anything like that. It's just, this is creative real estate, and your typical Keller Williams, RE/MAX, Century 21, they don't teach you creative real estate. They teach you how to be a realtor, how to go show houses and how to make offers, which is great. Honestly, that's great. But with the type of clientele that we deal with, you have to be creative. You have to be, you have to be able to think out of the box. And of course, we teach all that. Mm-hmm. But for someone who's been in the business for 10 or 20 years, it might be very hard to take off that realtor hat and really think entrepreneurial.
Yeah, no, I agree. So let's go full time. Maybe had their license less than 2 years, maybe, but is hungry and wants to work. That's the goal. That's the goal. Okay. Very, very cool.
I mean, but honestly, I'll talk with anybody. I mean, I'll speak with anybody to see, where are you at in life? What are your goals? Where do you see yourself? And can you be a fit? We gotta check personality. We gotta check, integrity and character. Make sure that we're both a good fit.
Yep. Yeah. I love it. So let's just give your email one more time. How could somebody reach out and say, hey, let's talk? How could they get a hold of you?
Yeah, that's Chris, the CHRIS at iBuyHousesFresno.com.
Excellent. If you happen to be in the Fresno area, a licensed agent, hungry to do some work, I strongly recommend checking Chris out. He does what he says. I've done deals with him. He is this authentic person you see on screen. And again, he's a father of 4 under 3. Do the math.
Yeah.
There's a set of twins in there.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I got to disclose to people. Yeah, so 1 woman. So it is a set of twins in there.
1 woman.
If you do the math, you'd be like, well, I don't. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, thank you very much for your time, Chris. This is always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You got it. Thank you, bro.